this presentation go through everything, but I want you to connect whatever I'm saying here to your own research topic. All right, because the research process has to be individually different from one another. So I'm giving you a sample here, what all you are supposed to do, but then put it in the context of your own research. Am I clear about that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so see, what we are trying to do is, till now we were doing research based on what the Western ways of doing research are. We are following the Western method to do PhD work. But since we are trying to place ourselves in our own context, if you follow Western concept, it means that this is only about a couple of centuries old, the Western way of doing research. But in the context of Indian knowledge system, it is not just centuries old, but thousands of year old ways of doing research, because research in Indian context has been purely based on observation. Observation using your senses, about which I think I have earlier spoken to you all about human being and five senses, how the five senses help in understanding the world around us from childhood to death, right? So the whole idea of Indian research, Indian architectural research, is based on what we call the indriyas, or the five sensations that we have. So research process in Indian architecture also should take care of this particular aspect. So you have to look at your topic and try to find out in what way your topic can be related to this process, research process. Okay. So what exactly is research is something which needs to be understood. This is the primary way of approaching Indian knowledge system for research. All right. So one of the most important thing that you have to realize is that though you are assigned a guide by the university, you are doing your own management. I mean, guide is just an attachment for you to take help from, but you should not totally depend on your guide also. So under your own management is the maxim to be followed by an honest researcher. And that's the way an honest researcher works. So remember these 3 points. You are totally under self-management. Don't ask me for questions and answers. Do it yourself. All right. It is no use sitting around waiting for somebody to tell you what to do next. That means don't wait for me to tell you what to do. And it is no use complaining that nobody is telling you what to do next. So many a times I have heard research scholars say that my guide has not told me anything yet, so I'm waiting for him to speak. But that's not the way to do research. The research initiative means you are totally under your management. You are not waiting for somebody to tell you what to do, and you don't complain about that you are not getting any help from others around, or your guide, or your college, or your library, whatever. So next, please. These points you remember always when you are working. Next, please. So there are 3 aspects to doing research work. One is before the work, what kind of preparation you should do. So in research, you have to take the responsibility for managing your learning. And there are 3 aspects to it, 3 stages of research work: before, during, and after. So we will focus in today's lecture on the before aspect. That means before starting the research, what all you are supposed to take care of between these 3 stages of research work. So today we are going to talk about what all preparation you have to do before you start your PhD work. So in research, you have to take responsibility for managing your learning. Initiative begins with penning down your thoughts. Now, penning down is extremely important, not tapping down, not typing down. Okay. You take a book and you pen down your thoughts. Do not use digital media at all, because a book is something you can carry everywhere, and a book in one glance you'll be able to see your progress. But digital media, if you type and keep it for your presentations, but not for your research work. You can use digital media in whichever way you want for your presentations or discussions, but your research work should actually go on inside a notebook with a pen, because nobody can erase that. Nobody will sort of erase the whole thing. It will be with you. So you should pen down your thoughts right from today. Now I hope all of you have a diary, or if you don't have a diary, buy a diary, plain diary. You can date wise also you can do it, but sometimes some days you think a lot and you write a lot, so sometimes one page of a diary is not enough. So buy an ordinary notebook, ruled or whatever, or plain notebook, and in that start penning down your thoughts. Next step is to look for what others have said about your topic. So you have some thoughts about your topic, how you want to do research, etc. But then search for other people who have done this kind of work before you. So that depends entirely on the topic that you have selected. You have to search. Now search has become very easy in today's context. Searching through internet, you can get across to many people who have been thinking like you, or who have done PhD based on similar topics. In our times, it was very difficult. We had to go and sit in the library and hunt for references, appropriate references. It would take ages to find out the right kind of reference that you want for your own research work. So you can do both now. You have a wonderful library. You can look for appropriate references in the library, and at the same time, you can surf the net also to get information about your topic, what kind of preparation you have to do before you start working on the research. Is that clear? Clear to you, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, next slide. So one thing which you must ask yourself, are you articulate? Articulate means, can you speak extempore? It's very, very important. No researcher should try to get into the world of research without the capacity of speaking extempore. That means without any tip, without even looking at your notebook, looking into the eye of the audience and speaking extempore. And that will happen only if you attend seminars and occasions where crowd is there and you are speaking to them, not speaking to a screen, not speaking to a book, but looking in the eyes of the people and speaking from your heart. That's very, very important. If you don't have this capacity, you better not register for PhD work, because a researcher finally, when makes a presentation, should be actually presenting it to the audience before you. So this is something very important. If you don't have this capacity, you better develop this capacity of speaking to the audience's eyes and ears, not to a screen or something. Next, please. This is part of the preparation. The next is, how many times have you stood up and asked questions in a scholarly gathering? See, asking question is a habit for many children, especially if they are brilliant. They want to test their teacher in the classroom. It happens from first standard onwards, or sometimes in KG also, that you get up and ask question to sort of trouble the teacher. But then here you are troubling yourself if you don't ask the right kind of question, because this is something which you have to experience. There's a social gathering. How can you quickly become the leader in the social gathering? Or how can you create an atmosphere in a social gathering or a larger gathering where scholars are sitting? An atmosphere such that people come to you like a magnet. You are a magnet and people sit around you and listen to you. This is a capacity which you will not develop if you are an introvert. So no introvert can do research. I believe in this, that introverts cannot do any research, because we need to attract people to listen to you. So this experience you have to start right from now. Don't miss a single opportunity of attending any seminar or any presentation or whatever going on in your town or in your college or other colleges. Just go as an audience first, sit in the audience, but keep writing in your notebook questions that you want to ask to the speaker. Ask questions. Asking question is the first step towards doing research work. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I am asking you a question, so you must answer. All right. Okay, next. Yes. Do you have a substantial library of books and journals in your discipline? This is something which you can ask yourself. Somebody who does research work should have personal collection of books related to his research work. If you don't have, you better start getting it. Some books may be very expensive, but today you can get digital copies free from online. So you must have a good collection of books in as a book or as a digital media of the topic in which you are planning to do your research. And do not share this with anyone. These books are yours. Share only with your guide, provided the guide asks you for it. Keep your books as your own. So this is why I suggested that all the research scholars together should have a library where all of you may consult the same book. That is also possible, that there are certain encyclopedias and there are certain books which need to be referred to by all types of research scholars. So you should have a research scholars library where you will be probably where you are sitting in the college. I had earlier asked when Madam Lakshmi was there as a librarian, that to set aside books which are to be referred to by. I had also set aside some books she might know about. The librarian should know about it. Set aside books which are exclusively meant for researchers, not for BR students. There are so many books in the library. I know Amrita Library, which are not meant for BR students. They are meant for researchers, masters and researchers. So I think your library should have two sections, or in fact you can shift the section which belongs to postgraduate students and researchers down into your staff room or your researcher's room. This is something which you have to get down immediately before you take the next step towards research work. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you can see here a chart here, like books that I have read, books intending to read, half read, pretend that you have read, and so on. This kind of chart you should make about your list of books. Make a list of books and put this color before the the book in the list. Like one book you want to read, you have not read, put this color coding so that you know which you have to read next. This is important. Now next, please. So this is also something which you will understand only if you read a lot of books related to your research work. The more you read, the more you will understand that there is a universe in which you are living, the physical universe. Knowledge also has a universe, which is non-physical. It exists in your mind. Knowledge can never become physical. Of course, we are trying to make it physical by printing books and by creating digital media. But knowledge itself, the idea of knowledge itself is not physical in nature. It is there in your mind. So, and you will also notice that though you are part of a large universe, what is there in your mind or in the minds of people is also a universe. So every human being is actually walking around with a universe in your head. There is a universe of imagination in your head, and you should know this universe very well. And within that universe, there are so many topics which are going on inside your brain. And there's in one corner, your PhD work is sitting there. And that is something you need to be aware of. Like, you have a universe of knowledge within your brain, and within that there is a universe of your PhD topic. So that you need to expand. That's why we talk about meditation. In Indian system, all the knowledge was kept as thought. Thoughts were never shared by gurus. Guru will ask a question, Shishya will answer, and that the answer becomes part of that data which Guru stores in the mind. And rarely gurus will give you a tip by way of an answer or by way of a statement. And then the Sishyas are supposed to go around in the world and analyze that clue with respect to their own domain of exploration. So this is something which you need to practice of sit quietly and think what all topics you can work on, in what all ways you can work on, which will help you understand your own universe of knowledge, and within that the scope of the topic that you have in your mind. This has to happen much before you start your research work. Already I know of Binyas and Saujanya and all have this aspect, because that's why they did a master's project. So a master's project is also kind of a research project. So you have a knowledge domain, and within that you have the domain of your research work. Remember this. Next, please. So this is what you're supposed to do. This chart, look at this very carefully. One left part is called as original domain and new domain. This original domain is all the research already done by people all over the world. Okay. Original domain is all the work that people have done as research all over the world. New domain is something which you have to discover based on the kind of research you will do using the original domain. You will use the original domain, do evaluation of that, do synthesis of that, do analysis of the original domain, which is available in library or internet. You will think of application of that domain. So all these things you will do with the original domain, and then you will come out with a new domain. See, no research is complete if you have not said something new in your final presentation. The whole idea of PhD is to contribute to the knowledge domain. So, but to do that, you should know the existing knowledge domain thoroughly, and within that you remove whatever is crap according to you, and collect the gems of knowledge from the original domain and use them to discover a new domain. This also takes time, and for this preparation has to begin right from now. And for this, you should I'm sort of emphasizing you should do all this in a notebook and do pen and pencil or pen and ink kind of writing and sketching within the notebook. So next, please. Again, this whole idea of research, I told you, if you look at this circular, kind of a diagram here, you see the outermost circle says it is all possible topics. So out of the all possible topics that can be taken up for PhD work in your own domain, you have to sift through them, and you are assigned a topic and see how closely you can narrow down to the new domain that you will develop, or new kind of ideas that you will develop as part of your final presentation. So narrowing down to a topic in your domain takes time. This is why generally at least 3 or 4 years are required to come down to the real research work, because first 2-3 years continue in reading and writing, and then over a period of time you will come to the topic that is actually your contribution to the knowledge domain. So narrowing down to a topic in your domain takes generally about 2 years. So first 2 years, remember, is nothing will happen. You have to keep on reading and writing, have discussions occasionally with your guide, but spend more time in the library or online trying to figure out uh, what is the topic domain in which you need to really work, and start collecting books and journals related to the domain that you are working in. So this takes at least 2-3 years. I took around 3 years, and I was not very sure, but I knew that these are the areas in which I should work. So I will show you that sometime later, but right now you do this exercise for yourself. Start collecting information, books, journals, etc., digital in the digital mode also, to figure out how much kind of narrowing down you have to do to come to your own domain and your own topic. Next, please. So now this is something very, very important. Not many people do it, but unless you do it, you will not learn anything. You will not do anything if you don't do this. You collect the books, but while you collect the books, start reading them also. Books or digital media, whatever you are collecting and you are looking at, read them 3 times at least. Each book you should do 3 times, not continuously. While reading, you highlight some areas which appeal to you. So every time you read, first reading, you use one color to highlight in the book. So that means that you can't take library book and start highlighting in them. Better you collect a book from the library which you think is most essential for your research work, get a photocopy done or scan them, convert them into PDF, and in the PDF you can do all kinds of color coding to realize your what all you have understood in the first reading, what all you have further discovered in the second reading, and what all you missed out in the first two reading, you again discover in the third reading. So each time when you read, you must highlight passages and sentences that appeal to you, and each time in different color. You can have your own color code, because it will tell you a lot about the particular book that you have been reading. You will also find that everything that is written by an author in a book is not useful to you. 3 times when you read a book, you will know just few comments are useful for you, and you extract them and write down in your notebook. So, and then you give referencing to that particular book, that it is from this book or this author that you got this idea. That's why reading and writing becomes extremely important for a researcher. Next, please. So when you finish reading a book, write down portions highlighted by you into your research journal or diary. Don't forget to mark the bibliography at that time itself in the notebook. In your notebook, you must do bibliographical references, or in the standard international format for each highlight. I hope you are aware of this. If not, we'll have a class. And those who have done post-graduation should be aware of the international way of the format for giving references. Yes. If you do this once, remember, if you have done it 3 times in a book, you don't need that book. That book is not useful anymore. You have put the whole essence of that book, what you need, into your diary, and that is enough. You can return the book to the library if it is taken from library, or you can put it in your collection as a book which you have read or you have understood. Or you can even pass it on to somebody who is working in the similar field or some other field. Next, please. So reading can be from books. Today there are so much of scope for reading. Earlier it was only books and journals which you find in the library. But today readings can be from books, journals, magazines, internet sources, whatever. But it is also important to write down and highlight your thoughts by different people into your own research diary, as I said earlier. Referencing is the source is very important, and that is called good practice by a researcher. Always give reference to ideas which are not yours. Don't pass on your own idea, somebody else's ideas as your idea, which is very, very bad. Today there are a lot of softwares which can detect if you have done some kind of cheating with the information you have gathered. So referencing the source is extremely important. You have a physical and digital diary as well. Pass on all those things to your digital diary, which will be used for presentation purpose later on. So physical diary to digital diary is a kind of transfer of information that are useful to you, which will be useful for presentation. Next, please. But more than this, there are so much of other kind of sources which will give you information. One of them is documentaries and movies. There are so many documentaries available online as well today or on different medias related to the research that you are doing, especially in case of Indian knowledge system and its application. See, uh, you have entered into a very unique domain. Architecture itself is a unique domain, but within that unique domain, you are trying to find place for knowledge systems. I don't want to call it Indian knowledge system of the world. You see, what Indian knowledge system is a thought created by Westerners about India, but we today prefer to call it Bharat Jnana Shrankhala or Jnana, system. But at the same time, we have had a continuous historical record keeping method of knowledge passing on by way from hand to mouth. Sorry, not from hand to mouth, but from mouth to mouth or mouth to ear, you can say. Guru talks, Shishya listens, so both have got the same knowledge acquired in both the brains. But then Shishya analyzes, comes out with something new, he passes on to his own Shishya and so on. So this can happen by watching documentaries and movies also. And while you're reading, you're remembering the names of the author and people mentioned. Same thing can happen to documentaries and movies also. So you may come across other people who have done similar research before or related research before. If they are within your city or within your town or wherever you're traveling, make a list of people whom you can likely meet when you're traveling, and ask questions and record the conversation with the person whom you meet. So today, beyond writing in a diary, there are so many other options which also you should explore. So keep your mobile phone for recording video or audio, but with their permission, of course. You must take permission from the person with whom you are interviewing. All things related to the thesis topic which you have identified. All right. So this is very important, because all these media collection that you will do will become very useful when you make your final presentation or decide on your final presentation. Next, please. Okay, these are all some gyan that I am giving you. You may or may not follow, but if you follow, you may do a kind of, actually this is kind of a shortcut to avoid getting stuck with the topic for forever. Like sometimes people just get stuck, they are not able to go forward. So so many researchers are there who get stuck at this point after 2 years or 3 years. They give up researching and they say, "Ki, mere bas ka baat nahi hai, I'm going and I'm continuing what I'm going to do." But that is a defeatist attitude. I mean, you should not accept defeat right in the beginning. Here, the real system starts. The real, uh, after you have done all this work till now, what I mentioned, do not decide in advance what the nature of your research would be like, whether it should be quantitative or qualitative. Now, this is something which we will discuss in detail. What is quantitative and what is qualitative about a research? Not necessarily architectural research, all kinds of research. Your readings will tell you, the more you read, the more you watch, it will tell you whether your research work has to be called quantitative or qualitative or a mixed method of research. It will happen only if you do lot of reading and compare your own ideas with the ideas of others in what you get from your readings. And from here onwards, there should be a lot of secrecy also to be maintained by you. This is, I'm telling you a secret, but this is a secret of all scholars. Never discuss your actual topic with anyone other than your guide. After a point of time with your guide also, you should stop discussing your real topic, because then alone you will become a good researcher or someone who is capable of standing up and arguing about the domain that you have identified as part of your research. So discuss with others only the domain of your research work and not the specificity of your topic. What is your domain? Your domain is Indian knowledge system and its applications in whatever architecture. So that is your domain. Don't discuss the detailed topic that you have in mind, but make other people talk. When you meet people who are experts or when you meet people in seminars, let them do the talking. You ask questions, you select so many questions to ask so that you get a lot of answers from them by way of clues for continuing your research work. Listen with attention when anyone has to say anything about your domain. Attend as a silent observer every seminar conference possible on your domain. Just attend. Initially, just attend, keep quiet, ask a lot of questions. This is extremely important, and record those questions by way of audio or video, whatever, and come back, download to your system, and then analyze if you have understood anything, what others are talking about. Next, please. So I think this may be the last slide here. So I told you about quantitative and qualitative. These are two images which represent the left side and right side of the brain, and your thesis could be, your research work could be purely quantitative or purely qualitative. If it is purely quantitative, it is talking about very good mathematical and statistical skills and experimental and analytical skills. It is more related to laboratory experiments and more related. Quantitative is more related to all kinds of science research work, science and technology based research work. You can, architecture also can be done like that. There are so many architects who have done this kind of purely quantitative way of analyzing and coming to a conclusion, which is there already. Some of the Peter Eisenman, one such architect who did this work. I think originally it was Peter Eisenman who started this. You can look up the works of Peter Eisenman online and see what kind of quantitative presentation he did. His biggest contribution was that all the quantitative ideas he could easily translate into visual ideas that only an architect can do. Architects who are good at drawing, good at sketching, are able to convert quantitative ideas or thoughts into visuals, which only architects or somebody with good vision can do. That means whose uh, left side of brain works more than the right side of the brain. So for the quantitative people demand excellent mathematical and statistical skills, analytical, etc., and they have access to good laboratory equipment using which they work. But the qualitative people, they demand you should have a very sharp mind. You should be a widely read personality, a way of expression, and command over language. Most importantly, you should have a good sense of humor, because only sense of humor can pull you out of difficult situations. So this needs a lot of practice, a lot of getting up on the stage, talking to the audience, talking to people extempore. So that is why you must, as an architect, if you are not talkative, you will never get a project. You should know how to impress your client. I believe in that. If you cannot talk and if you do not have a sense of humor, you can never become an architect, because after all, you have to deal with a client who doesn't know anything about architecture. You assume sometimes, but sometimes your client is much more knowledgeable about architecture. Only thing is he cannot design or draw, but he or she knows very well about what architecture is all about. And today, this artificial intelligence has made it much more difficult to know whether the client is really knowledgeable about architecture, because before you think, he will give you some solutions. All he wants is just drawings, and once you give drawings, he'll run away with your ideas or drawings. So in this artificial intelligence uh, world today, actually that is also not artificial. I don't believe that it is artificial, because it is natural intelligence put down in a particular quantitative way and helps you solve problems very quickly. So this is, remember this, you need to learn. I would prefer that you use both the quantitative and qualitative aspects. That means use both your left and right side of the brain to analyze a topic which you have selected, so that within that you can find out the correct domain in which you want to contribute. Once you reach this stage, your contribution becomes very important. What are you going to contribute is something which you have to decide. Otherwise, no point in continuing with the research work. By the time you reach this particular stage of thinking with both the left and right side of the brain, you should be pretty sure what you are going to contribute to the architectural knowledge system, to the world, using Indian knowledge system. I mean, we are trying to focus the use of Indian knowledge system. We'll discuss about this in detail later, but I think we can stop here today. I want you all to write. Now, don't sit and discuss among yourself. You go back in your shell, and I wanted to share it separately with each of you, but I would like to see your original thoughts based on all these uh, slides that I have given you, your original thoughts. And relate it to your thesis work here. But to me also, don't tell me what your final work is going to be. Keep that as a secret. I want you to keep your final work as a big secret till the final day arrives. Then alone your research work will happen. I'm telling you this. Because if you go and brag about your topic, what you're doing, you will find that somebody else has done the PhD just now. When you mentioned in 3 days, that fellow goes and submits the topic and gets his PhD. This has been happening all over the world because people keep on blabbering about what they are doing. And those who are around you have with sharp ears do their PhD faster than you can even do. So keep your talk within your domain to your friends and teachers and anybody whom you meet. But original work, keep it under lock and key. All right, key should be always with you when you make your presentation. So I don't expect any question answer directly from you. It should come as your response. I want you to do one thing. Each of you individually respond to me with your thoughts. Don't even show each other. Keep that secrecy, and then I will present your work next time we meet. I'll tell you who is right and who is wrong, why you are wrong and why you are right, because there may be many rights and wrongs in the observation that you do, and that will individually help you analyze your work a little better. But try to relate everything with the topic that you have selected. I mean, I don't know. I am also starting with I do remember some of your topic, but you can even change that topic. Now, after this presentation, if somebody changes the whole topic upside down, I'll be very happy because that shows that you are thinking. Your thinking is most important than the guide's thinking or your teacher's thinking or the university's thought processes and so on. It is you. Tomorrow you will be sitting in a chair where you are directing. You are a director so that the tail that you add to your name, PhD, or the cap you put in front of your name called doctor, it should be worthwhile. Otherwise, you can simply remain Vinyas Vardhan or Vallabha Manoharan or Anbuchavi and so on. Correct? So make it worth the crown called doctor and the tail called PhD. In between, you are stuck. So let us see what you come out with. Share your thoughts on this particular presentation individually with me. Then we will have a next session. So what we will do is every session will be like this. You have to submit your work to me, and I will make a presentation on your work. All right, and then you keep improving upon that, and then we continue till you reach your final destination. All right. So you can quit now. You can close the meeting, and Vinyas, just record this. Keep the recording, so that I can download and keep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Take care,
I'll
all of you.
upload the recording on Drive and share the link with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
Take
sir.
care. Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Yes, sir.